G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Got our rapid review for round 19. Obviously, we are recording this one before the last game of the week. The Newcastle Knights taking on the Manly Seagulls. Should have said that the other way around as it's being played at Brookvale Oval. That's the last game of the week that we won't be covering here today. As you guys know, just time-wise, it becomes a little bit too difficult. But we'll have a deep dive into that on Bloke in a Bar tomorrow. We'll also be taking a deep dive into Origin 3, which is not too far away. Super exciting. A lot coming up. Today's episode, guys, brought to you by the Roo Crew. You would have known on Wednesday afternoon that Keanu Keeney was getting benched this week in the Roo Crew. Just an example of all of the extra rumours and information, everything you hear in there, along with all of our extra content and all of our content early in there as well. So if you are a Rugby League Guru podcast listener or you're on YouTube, whatever it might be, hit the link in the description and go and check out the Roo Crew. Pop in, have a look. If it's not for you, jump out. But I think you'll find there's a lot of value in there, growing every single week. It's fantastic to see the community in there. We've also got these hats. Now, these will be dropping with League Lids over the next few weeks. They won't be on my website. They will be at League Lids, but they are sensational. Absolutely love these ones. Super comfy. Corduroy. They got the Guru on the back as well. So, yeah, unreal. Absolutely love these. Super comfy. The old vintage sort of style that we like to go for. So, keep an eye out for League Lids for those. All right, let's get stuck in. Only 4 games to cover here, and obviously bye-round footy, so a lot of ins and outs and whatnot, so not ideal. But some games that I still really enjoyed. We kicked off on Thursday night. We had the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Dolphins going head-to-head. The Dolphins getting the job done here in a high-scoring affair, 36 points to 28. I watched this at a South Sydney institution, the Newmarket Hotel. Funnily enough, Campbell Graham was actually there watching as well. He is a big bit of gear, Campbell. And I can tell you this for free. If you think these footy players and whatnot don't care about losing or whatever, can guarantee you, kept an eye on Campbell Graham. At no point was he enjoying this game when they were down, and nor did he enjoy it when it was over. So just a little reminder that these guys do all care. When we get to the Dolphins game, I thought they were a good shot to win this game. I obviously triple staked them against Tom and Eddie. I think Wayne Bennett teams coming off a bye that know their opposition well. It was always going to be pretty tough for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who are obviously missing a fair whack of troops themselves. Obviously, Latrell Mitchell and Cam Murray out along with everyone else, including Campbell Graham. But yeah, look, South Sydney, not a dreadful performance. They're just disappointing in moments. I thought Jack Whitencamp had some really poor moments. He had some really good moments as well, to be fair, but there was just a couple of passes. I think he missed finding touch at one point as well that was very costly. I thought Jai Gray was sensational. I thought he did some really good things, Jai Gray. Fuck, he's a goer. Obviously a penalty trial, which I thought was pretty fair, but the way that he was going to just half volley that ball over the fullback's head and regather it, he's just a freak, Jai Gray. I said in the preseason that he'd be my next 5'8" after Cody Walker. I stand by that, but I mean, Latrell is such an absolute freak, but I do wonder if there is a world where you could maybe play Latrell at centre. You could maybe play Jai Gray at fullback, and I don't think you keep Latrell at centre, but you could sort of, chime him in and let him roam. There's even a world where you could just let Latrell, once they get into the red zone, sort of jump into fullback. I don't know, but I just think Jai Gray is a good enough player to feature in this side somewhere. Next year, Pete Mamazelis will be the starting 9 with no Damien Cook, so maybe Jai Gray just jumps into that 14 role. I just think they have to find a spot for him in this team somewhere. Maybe you play Cody Walker at 7 next year. Maybe you play Jai Gray at 6 and you let Jack Whiten play centre, but I think Jack Whiten's been too good at centre to not pick. You've obviously got the kid arriving from England as well. Sorry, kid. I'm not sure how old he is. I haven't seen too much of him, but yeah, I don't know. I just want to see Jai Gray in this side somewhere. Good to see Alex Johnson score some tries. I know that, as I said, I was at the Newmarket Hotel in the heart of South Sydney, and all the South Sydney fans just going berserk when AJ scored, which is good to see. And Jacob Gagai, 3 tries. Shout out to him. He's starting to look more and more comfortable in first grade, Jacob Gagai. I will say this as well for South Sydney. The reality is, it was 6 tries to 6. Jermaine Osako kicked 6 from 6. The South Sydney boys only managed to put together 2 from 6. Obviously, with Latrell out, that's hurt their goal kicking stakes. I think Hawkins would have been the next man up as well. Cody Walker started kicking, wasn't going too well, so Tane Milne took over, who Tane can hit him, to be fair, but my God, it's an ugly walk in for Tane Milne. So, yeah, look, if it wasn't for goal kicking, fuck it. I mean, they did enough to hang in this game, South Sydney. It was literally goal kicking that separated them. I know they scored tries late to get themselves back into it, but yeah, goal kicking at the end of the day was very costly. For the Dolphins, I'll tell you what, he scored a try, and I thought he was pretty good, Tavita Pangai Jr. I was pretty impressed by his performance. I think he's starting to really warm to the task. I said when he signed that I thought Wayne would get something out of this guy. I thought that he would find an avenue for him to have a positive impact on games, and I think he has, to Wayne's credit. I think TPJ looks pretty good. Is he a guy you want to rely on for the next 10 years? No. Is he a guy that you can probably rely on for 10 weeks or so if Wayne Bennett has him focused? I think so, and I think at the moment he's looking good. He's never going to be perfect, but if you're expecting TPJ to be perfect, I mean, I think you're setting yourself up for disaster. Realistically, he's going to be a little bit rocks and diamonds, but at the moment, I think you're getting a lot of diamonds and not too many rocks at the moment. I think he's doing well. Cody Nicarima scored of a cracking try. Isaiah Cartile putting a lovely little nudge through. Such an experienced kick in that moment, and just once again, the amount of time and space this kid has is just off its head. Herbie Farmworth, a good game. Sean O'Sullivan came off the bench and scored late. I thought Maxi Plath jumping in that hooker role, I thought he was really solid. Jack Bostock had a very good game as well. He was popping up everywhere. And, this is a side missing a fair whack of players themselves. Jack Bostock ran for 277 run meters, 3 line breaks. Very good game from Jack Bostock. TPJ, 51 minutes, a try, 17 runs for 178 run meters, 4 tackle breaks, 14 tackles, missed 3 to be fair, but fuck. Not bad from TPJ. I will say this as well. Ewan Aiken injured in this one, 19 minutes in. It looks like a pec injury. Devastating for the Dolphins, devastating for those that owe him in Supercoach as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there, whether you move a Kenny Bromwich back out there. You've got some young guys in like Oren Keeley and these sort of guys they could bring in. So they've got a few options there. But Ewan Aiken, I thought he was having a tremendous season, and it sounds like that might be Ewan Aiken's last game for the Dolphins, which is unfortunate. It's a pec injury, so you'd have to think he's out for quite some time. Maybe if they make finals, they're able to come back or just come back before that. But normally with those pec injuries, I don't know. I'm not the NRL physio, obviously. He's a lot better looking than me. But that did not look good to me, and it wouldn't shock me if that is his last game for the Dolphins, which is pretty disappointing because he's been such an integral part of this franchise where they've begun. So, the Dolphins getting the job done there, goal kicking the difference in Redcliffe, the old Wayne Bennett Cup, and where Wayne's coaching right now takes it home, which didn't really shock me in the slightest. All right, let's move to Friday night. Holy. The Cronulla Sharks, 58 points to 6 over the West Tigers. At one point, it was 6-6, which is pretty bizarre in this game. The Cronulla Sharks then went on to win the next 70 minutes, 52-0. They absolutely demolished the West Tigers. And the West Tigers, honestly, I think by about the 30th minute, you could just tell these guys just did not want to be there. Obviously, Appy got sin binned early, which I thought was very, very harsh personally. I don't think that should have been a sin bin. I'll say that, and I think that didn't help the situation, but I don't know. I just felt like the Sharkies were on top the entire time. And, 58 points. They bombed a couple of tries too. Like Jesse Raymond dropped one with the line clear wide open. He had another offload to Braden Trindle that he dropped that he probably could have scored off. Maybe I'm focusing on Jesse Raymond because I had the Supercoach VC on him, which would have been a huge play by me. But I do know, just from watching that game, the Sharkies left a lot of opportunities out there, which was really disappointing. Ito scored the first try. Thought he was really good. A good bounce back by Mulatalo as well. Scored 3 tries. I love seeing Mulatalo. And I spoke to Mulatalo the other day after the game. He had people that were yelling and screaming at him, swearing at him, abusing him the entire game. Tigers fans, he bounced back, he scored 3 tries, and he spoke to him in the crowd. Personally, I know a lot of people got really butthurt about this. I think it's great. I think it's good entertainment. Keep in mind, there's literally a betting agency not named Ned's at the moment who are putting up $5,000 to charity for every single try celebration. I mean, fuck, can we stop jumping down Mulatalo's throat? I really don't think it's a huge, big deal. I think that we always want characters in rugby league where you hear all these people complaining that the guys are so boring, they're not what they used to be. Then you get characters and everyone jumps down their throat. And my favourite saying in rugby league, we want characters until we get them and then it's too much for us. I love Mulatalo and I see a lot of people calling him a grub and all this shit. I've spent a bit of time with him off the field. He's come to certain bloke photo shoots and whatnot. I was at the Sharks the other day talking to people there about players and whatnot. And Mulatalo is the first man to put his hand up for charity events. He's the first guy to put his hand up for junior rugby league. He is a tremendous fella. Years ago, when I first started my page, I sent a message to just about everyone that was in. I forget which World Cup it was. Was it 2018 or something like that back then? Sent a message to a heap of players saying, hey, does anyone want to do like a takeover of my page? Didn't get any response except one. Mulatalo said, yeah, mate, love to. Didn't know me from a bar of soap. I had fuck all followers at that point. And he logged in and did a Q&A, and I thought he might do 5 or 6 Instagram stories here. He did about 30 of them. Honestly, there was probably too many of them. Mulatalo is a champion fella. His teammates absolutely love him. You see him off the field and after games with players. They all just adore him. He's a pest on the field, 100%, but that's the role he plays. And the thing that I love about Mulatalo is that he gives it and he fucking takes it. When he's playing poorly or whatever, he wears it on the chin. But when he is going well, he'll give it to you. He's a competitor. I love Mulatalo, and I know that, and obviously I don't have a team, so he doesn't give it to my team. So maybe that impacts me a little bit. I don't know. But I think, if you don't like Mulatalo, he's sort of doing his job, trying to get under your skin and under opposition players' skin. So I like stuff like that. I think that what he does at the end of the day, it is pretty harmless. He's not really harming anyone, really. So he's having a bit of banter, pushing and shoving and whatnot. I'm all for it. As I said, I love us to have characters in the games, and I think Mulatalo is a fantastic guy off the field, tries to get under the skin on field, but then straight after that game, once they're across the white line, he'll shake hands, hug it out. I love him. I'm all for it. Sione Katoa is very good as well. Hamlin Wele with another big try celebration. Love to see. We'll talk about it during the week, but obviously Braden Trindle, he was great in this game. Atkinson was very good as well. No Nico Hines. I said it during the week, and I got a few messages from people off the back of About Even. I sort of said, I think the Sharkies will win without Nico. I think they'll play well without Nico, and that's not taking anything away from Nico. But Trindle's a very good ball player as well, and he can direct the team around. They're just not great together. And, with Hines, I think they're better. But with Trindle, they're different, and different can be bloody scary because you don't quite know what to prepare for. And I think Trindle could lead a side in the NRL. I really do. I think he could lead the Sharkies, and they'd probably be a top 8 team still. Nico's a better player. Who would I rather have as my halfback? Nico, for sure. But Braden Trindle's a bloody good footballer as well, and I think he deserves a little bit more respect than what he gets at times. So it didn't shock me the Sharkies won this one. I thought they'd have a good win here. Jesse Ramian, sensational again, ran for a lot of metres. Obviously took the intercept, which was a big play in this game. But yeah, ran for, 200-odd run metres, 67 post-contact, 5 tackle breaks. Scored 1 try, was unlucky not to score a second one. Now, when we get to... Shout out to Braden Trindle too. 9 out of 10 goals, a pretty good knock there. When we get to the West Tigers, look, the sim binning really hurt them, but they're just not where they need to be. And I know they're missing a few troops, not missing a heap of troops anymore. They just look like a team to me that is down and out, that probably is just not ready for a 27-week season, which sounds, ridiculous, but I genuinely just don't think they are at the moment. I think they'll be able to get themselves up in different moments, but just week to week consistency, they just can't do it. And when you come up against a side like this at Shark Park with the hot hand, good conditions, everything, it's always going to be very, very tough. Guys that I thought were good in this game, Galvin, he just never stops trying. You got to respect that. Adam Dewey, exactly the same. I thought that Samuel Finu was solid as well. Defensively, he wasn't great, to be fair. Missed 5 tackles, though. Look, it was a bit of a shit fight of a night for the West Tigers. I don't want to go too heavy on anyone or anything. I thought Ruben Porter, when he was on the field, was pretty good as well. But yeah, look... The Tigers were poor. We all know that. You don't need me to tell you or explain to you why they were poor. They were just a little bit all over the place. I'll tell you who I was a little bit disappointed in, Aiden Caesar. I thought his game was well below the standards that he set for himself this year, and no one would have been more disappointed in themselves than Aiden Caesar. But yeah, that was a very disappointing game from Caesar. I expect a lot more from him, and I know Aiden Caesar would as well, as would Benji Marshall. So keen to see how he bounces back next week. Super Saturday, the 2 games. The Titans knocking over the Parramatta Eels 24 points to 16. I'll tell you what, 15, 20 minutes in, I thought we were looking at another sort of 66-6 sort of effort from the Titans when they knocked over the Wars a couple of weeks ago. Parramatta didn't really get out of the blocks, and the Titans were sort of going for a training session through them. They were just absolutely blowing them away. Cam Piera obviously scored his double. It was very close to scoring a third as well. I think he almost got a fourth at one point. Phil Sami scored just after that. Quick turnover. Nice ball playing by Dave Fafita, creating space. Brian Kelly scored late off a Jaden Campbell special. Jaden Campbell, my God, he threw some nice passes the other night. He was very, very good, Jaden Campbell. A guy that I don't have in Supercoach, and if you do have him, full credit to you. I think it's the right rein to pull. He was great. Keeney obviously came off the bench in this one. It was interesting to see AJ Brimson given a break with about 30 minutes to go and game still well and truly in the balance. So I'm not quite sure where they all fit in moving forward. You would think if Brimo was going to play centre, he would have just played center and they would have played Keeney at fullback. So I don't know. Keanu Keeney, I think he's been I think his form over the last 5-6 weeks, whatever it's been, I think he's been one of the form fullbacks in the competition. Very stiff for him to miss out. In saying that, it's also very stiff for AJ Brimson to not be able to play his two best positions and have to play center. So no need to talk about this anymore, though. We speak about this all the time with the Titans and how they make it work. They'll work it out. The reality is the Titans with a fantastic win, a very, very good performance. Jaden Campbell was the star once again. He was tremendous. Thought Chrissy Randall was solid. Aaron Clark, usual sort of suspects, all very good. Foles just controlled the game. Didn't have to do too much. Foles just controlled it, pulled the right rein when he needed to. But Jaden Campbell, he's a real superstar in this side at the moment. The confidence he's got is just off the charts. Dave Fafita, he was dangerous. I think he scored like 50 odd in Supercoach. Obviously had the HIA, but came back on. So he only ended up playing about 65 minutes. He was still good. 13 runs, 127 metres. Had a couple of offloads in there as well. So I'm sure he'll go up from a Supercoach point of view. I don't think he's updated just yet, but I'm sure he will. And yeah, look, Fafita didn't have a barnstorming game where he blew it all away. But he was solid. So yeah. For Parramatta, they really are just a different team without Mitch Moses. And you know what? I know they got within 8 points, and full credit to them because they looked like they were going to get done by 100 at one point. But their attack is just so clunky without Mitch. It feels like it's sort of get the ball to Gutho out the back, see what he can do. And, that isn't really Gutho's strong point. He needs to be put in really good spots for Gutho to execute off the back of shape and whatnot. But yeah, without Mitch Moses, they really are a very average team. And I thought the Titans sort of took the foot off the pedal, if I'm completely honest with you, into the second half here and sort of let Parramatta back into it. But, yeah, just Assi only played those 70 minutes. He got taken off, which surprised me a little bit with the game sort of in the balance still. I thought Joe O was pretty solid playing through the front row. Ran for about 140 odd metres, got through a lot of defensive work. Matt Dory just come up with a lot of errors, which we didn't love to see. I think Guyman got injured in this one. He only played 45 minutes. He came off. Not great for Supercoach players that went him. Matto was solid. Regan Campbell-Gillard was really good, I thought. Had a couple of big runs. There was one that he returned off the kickoff that was enormous. He ran for 200 metres. I would say the vast majority of those metres, or probably 50 of those metres, came off that run. That was massive. Haven't seen him run like that in quite some time, to be honest with you. It was really good to see. But once again, sort of same old story with Parramatta. Just too many missed tackles. Way too many missed tackles. Way too many errors at the start of the game. They were gifted a try early to Luca Moretti, who scored. They were gifted a try by Luca Moretti. Clint Gutherson scored from scooting from dummy half. Scored 16 points, and credit to him. But if I'm being completely honest, it's a pretty bang average 16 points. I never felt like the Titans were going to lose this game. Thought they were dominant from the start and a lot more dominant than what the score shows. And Parramatta got a new coach last week in Jason Riles. We'll see how that all plays out. But this looks like a team to me that has just about given up hope on this year, which is very disappointing considering the squad they've got. Let's move to the last game on Saturday night. The Dragons 30 over the Brisbane Broncos 26. And I'll tell you what, the Broncos find themselves in a little spot of trouble now. We'll get to the Dragons soon because they're in the 8 and it was a fantastic win. But the Broncos, they're now sitting in 13th place. They play the Newcastle Knights next week, who will probably have all their troops back. They've only got one bye to come. Well, they have got one bye to come. So I think there's only a few teams with one bye to come. So a lot have already had their bye, but a lot of the teams on top of them haven't. The Warriors, the Knights, the Seagulls, the Dragons, the Cowboys, all their teams have only had 2 byes as well. So, mate, the Broncos, they're going to have to get on their bike and they're going to have to do it quickly because that was a game that I expected them to win. And now it just becomes even harder. And you look at those other teams on top of them, Manly getting Turbo back, KP returning for Newcastle. All those sides are starting to get better now. I walked away from that game last night going, I think part of me just always in the back of my head said, the Broncos will find a way. They'll play finals footy this year. Man, if I was a betting man right now, I think I'd probably have to bet against them at the moment. They are not looking good, the Brisbane Broncos. Are going to have to win a lot of games on the trot. Tui Pelotu scored 3 tries for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. He was fantastic. Big bit of gear, who looks like he's finally found his feet in first grade. Was obviously at the Manly Seagulls for a period of time. Did well, but didn't look this great. Moses Sully's looking outstanding at the moment. God, he's been a good signing. Scored a try himself. I think he laid on 1, maybe 2. Jaden Stewart, very damaging as well. I thought Kyle Flanagan was was really good. Some of the passes he threw were tremendous. There was one that I think Moses Sully scored off where he got the ball, and he's obviously addressed during the week, and this was a great tape try, I call them. You address something during the week. Katoni Staggs, he has got a horrible tendency to shoot up on the fullback and leave his outside men for dead, and you saw Tyrell Sloan coming around the bend. Flanagan had it, face balled him, and it went straight past Katoni Staggs, hit Moses Sully. Just a very, very good try that you could tell by their reaction. They'd seen that during the week on the tape, and they'd executed out there on the night. So without Ben Hunt, I thought Kyle Flanagan, he was really, really good. Tommy Eisenhuth got through a heap of work. Jack DeBellin, very strong as well. I felt like he was very dominant. They said it 1,000 times in commentary, and you guys have got eyes, you would have seen it, but it just felt like between Sully, Tui Pilotu, Ravalawa, your Molos, your DeBellins, Harm Sellers, these sort of guys, it just felt like the Dragons had too much punch for the Broncos, who, when you look at that young squad, the amount of punch they do have, outside of Xavier Willison, it was all pretty disappointing from the Broncos. No one really dented them, and Staggs, to be fair, he was great as well. No one else really dented this side. So, yeah, mate, the Dragons, full credit to them. As I said, they're into 8th place, which is sensational. So I had them, as a lot of people did, for the wooden spoon at the start of the year, and they just keep fighting. They just keep hanging in there. And honestly, if I'm the Dragons and if I'm Shane Flanagan, my question would be, why not? Why can't we make the top 8? We're 19 rounds in. We're in 8th place right now. We've still got another bye up our sleeve. Why can't we play finals footy? They'll get Ben Hunt back. They'll get Zach Lomax. Origin is done now, so they have all those guys back. Realistically, they're not really missing anyone major. Jack Bird came back last night, so another big plus there. Raymond Faitala-Mariner was ruled out of this one. I don't think that's long-term. So, mate, they've got the side there to be able to give this comp a real shake and to be able to play finals footy, which would just be an unbelievable story. And once again, if I'm the Dragons and if I'm a Dragons fan, I'm saying, why not? Why not us? Why can't we be there? And it'd be a great story if they did. It'd be unreal. So credit to the Dragons. Very, very good performance there. A fantastic win, especially up there at Suncorp with the Broncos team that, yes, missing players, but desperate to win. And when you have a look at the reserve grade players the Broncos are able to bring in, guys like Blake Moser, guys like Tristan Saylor, guys like, you've still got your Jensens there. You like all these super talented guys. The Dragons, I think if you asked 100 people on the street who are the Dragons' 2 best players and who are the Dragons built around, I reckon 99 of them would say Ben Hunt, Zach Lomax, 2 guys that weren't there. So full credit to them. Great to see. As I said, for the Broncos, they find themselves in a very shit position. I thought Katoni Staggs was really good. I thought he had some poor moments. He had a few errors in there as well. But I thought he was keen. He was involved. 13 runs, 189 metres. That's what we need. A lot of those metres would come from the try that he scored, obviously. But just to be putting himself in that position to score that try, that's the intent we want to see from Staggs. I said a couple of weeks ago, he's captain of the Broncos. He ran for 30 metres. Now, in hindsight, there was obviously some personal stuff going on there with Staggs, but I'll tell you what, the centre that I saw last night, the intent that he showed last night, that's what I want to see from Katoni every single week, because he's a guy that can win a game of football off his own back. When he's just on and he's ready to play, he can win a game of football off his own back, Katoni, and he showed that last night. So I thought he was very good. Outside of that, a lot of errors from these Broncos, as there just always tends to be. Got themselves back in the back end, scored 2 tries late to get themselves into this game. But realistically, they lost this one in the first half. They just, the last 20 minutes of the first half, they just rolled over and said, yep, do what you want to us. And obviously they did make a comeback late, 2 tries in the last 10 minutes. Blake Moser, nice little try from dummy half. Tony Staggs scored a double in the second half. Very rare to see that. But yeah, just not good enough, the Broncos. I thought Xavier Willison, he was solid, had some very good moments, played 45 minutes. Corey Jensen, 55 minutes, 15 runs, 156 metres. He was solid. But yeah, just not enough from the Broncos. They need to get their big guns back in this side. And honestly, I'm not sure how many games they can afford to lose from here on in. What have they got? Next week's round 20. That means they've got 8 games left. They've got a bye in there, which means they've got 7 games left. I reckon they have to win at least 5. Probably have to win 6 to make the 8, realistically. On the ladder, they're in 13th, which isn't as bad as it sounds. They're on 18 points. In saying that, 8th is on 22 points. All these teams aren't just going to lose. Some of them are going to keep winning. So, yeah, the Broncos, they probably have to win 5, a minimum 5, probably have to win 6 of the next 7 to play finals footy. They get a host of stars back. They're going to be a very, very interesting side to watch on the run home. Guys, that will do us for our rapid review. Obviously, the link to the Roo Crew is in the description below if you'd like to come and join the Rugby League Guru community on there. We got these hats and league lids. They'll be coming over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for those. Guru in the red on the back, embroidered on the front, our sort of retro logo there. We'll have these jumpers coming over the next few weeks as well that I've been living in recently. So a stack happening here at Rugby League Guru. Plenty more to come this week. Origin 3 on Wednesday night. We'll have all of our content in the lead up to that. Have Bloke in a Bar coming tomorrow or today, depending on when you're listening to this as well. So a stack coming your way here on the Rugby League Guru podcast.